Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Love and Lattes. Victoria, the self-love scientist here, and I'm so excited for this episode. It has been a long time coming. I have the opportunity to interview my dearest friend, Megan. Megan Stewart is the founder of PCOS Awareness Association. PCOS or PCOSAA is a nonprofit that is dedicated to the advocacy of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Welcome, Megan. I'm so excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here. And like you said, it's a long time coming. I feel like the last couple of years of it's like a blur, right? Like you but I'm happy to see you.
Oh, thank you. I'm very grateful. We met, what, back in 2022 or 2023?
Had to been about maybe the end of 2022.
Yeah, yeah. Because 23 is when I moved to
You
DC.
left me. You left.
Amazing. Well, Megan, I think one of the things that really sticks out to me the most, even from like the first day we met, was just your huge heart that goes to PCOSAA and all the other business endeavors. Like everybody who's listening, please check out Megan's profile because she's got multiple businesses.
I've got a couple of those things.
Yeah, she's a go-getter. Like she is like when I look at Boss Babe on Pinterest, her pictures come up. Your pictures are great. She's an inspiration. Okay, I promise I won't gush about you all the time. Maybe a little more.
I mean, come on, come on, come on, come
I
on.
know your love language is affirmations. Like yeah, yeah. Tell me more. Speaking of love language, for anyone who's new to this platform, would you mind sharing just a little bit about what PCOS is?
Yeah, absolutely. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and oh man, they've named it all sorts of things. It's a hormonal disorder, it's an endocrine disorder, um, it's just an all-encompassing crap. That's a better word for it. I like that word. So it affects 1 in 5 women across the world, and some of the symptoms of PCOS could be some of the major symptoms. Most women find out that they have PCOS when they're trying to conceive, and it's the number one cause of infertility in women. So most women find out that they have PCOS at that time. But it can also cause so many other things like weight gain, hair loss on the head, but hair growth everywhere else. It can cause diabetes. It tricks your body into believing you're diabetic. So most women with PCOS are prescribed metformin, which is a diabetic medication. It causes insulin resistance in women. I said weight gain, acne. Um, it can cause like women cancers. So we're talking like um, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, breast cancer. It has a wide range of things. Again, crap, affects women from head to toe. What can you say?
Yeah. I remember attending the 2023 PCOS Con, and I just picked up on so much information. One of them was the fact that it's still heavily underfunded. Like
Yeah.
it's really like
Yeah.
we're still learning. They're like, wait, what? What is this?
Right. So there's a statistic out there. It's a couple years old, but it does say that PCOS it's like 0.008% or something like that of government funding goes to the research of PCOS. So, with my organization, PCOS Awareness Association, we help fund the research of PCOS through Lugen Labs, which is a lab that's out of Cornell University. So they seem to be one of the only labs that's like trying to figure out what PCOS is, because again, not a lot of people know exactly what PCOS is. And when I say not a lot of people, I'm talking about medical professionals as well. You would be surprised. Sorry to be throwing out so many statistics, but there is a statistic out there that it says it could be 8 different doctors before you figure out exactly what's wrong with you. So you're skipping around from doctor to doctor, and nobody's knowing like I don't know what this is. Like, there's something wrong with you, but I don't know what it is. So you probably should go to another doctor. So yes, it could take on average 8 doctors to get formally diagnosed with PCOS.
Mhm. And I remember connecting with a lot of women there who could share that statistic, who knew exactly what it was like to be like, what do you mean you don't know?
Right.
Or
Right.
it's not exactly the answer we're looking for or the answer we're willing to accept.
Right. And that in itself is scary, right? Can you imagine just going to all these different medical professionals and them not knowing what's wrong with you, but you know something's wrong. You feel it in your heart and in your body that something's not right. And they like my story, I started showing symptoms at the age of 9. And my mom was the first one to like really recognize like, hey, you're gaining quite a bit of weight. You're very moody. You haven't had your cycle ever. There's something going on, like you're always in pain. What's happening? And I just remember her taking me from like doctor to doctor to doctor. One doctor told her it was normal going through puberty as an adolescent. Those symptoms were normal. Another one told her I just needed to lose the weight. Ultimately, one told her that it was in my head and that I was faking it to get out of school. To have a doctor tell you that, that's crazy. And only what, 2019 was our very first, like, we do this event called PCOS Con, which Victoria has been a part of the last couple of years. And the very first one was in 2019. And it was there that I learned from my mother telling people that she actually gave me placebo pills to try and like figure out like is she faking it or is it in her head or is it real? And lo and behold, like the first 2 weeks on these placebo pills, I was fine. And then she said about the second and third week, things took a nosedive for the worse. And that's when she realized that it was like not in my head and that there was something wrong and that I needed help. Ultimately, again, started from age 9 that she was taking me to these medical professionals all the way to age 16. I was finally formally diagnosed, but at that time, things had gotten um, worse for me. And lo and behold, I had cervical cancer as well. So it was really like, where do we begin with this? So of course, take care of the cervical cancer. And then my medical professional was like, come back to me when you're ready to have a baby. And that, of course, 16, I was like, ew, boys. I'm not trying to do that. Like, what does that even mean? So I didn't even think about the PCOS until later. As much as I thank her for, handling, well, first being di formally diagnosing me with PCOS and second handling my cervical cancer, there is a part of me that often like gets a little angry that she pushed my PCOS to the side and was like, nah, don't bother with that. You don't have to worry about that. Because I later got super sick. My ovaries ruptured. I ended up in the ER. But then at the same time, like I'm a little mad that that happened, but I'm happy because those cysts rupturing and me ending up in the ER is what sparked me to start PCOS Awareness Association. So I think that, if I hadn't gone through those trials, then I don't think PCOSAA would exist today.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. That sounds like it's not, this is not your average girlhood.
I like that girlhood.
Yeah.
No,
And
not average.
and again, it's one of those comments you hear from doctors where it's like, obviously, you're not planning to have kids at the age of 16, but like, all they did was take care of the cancer. And now you're back out into the world, like, but am I normal?
Right, right, right. Absolutely. Definitely one of my largest symptoms is the hair growth, the hirsutism, which is hair growth on the face and hair loss on the head. So, as a girl, and you're pretty much growing a beard, that can be very, um, makes you very self-conscious and makes you very like, you feel odd, right? Like you feel very not normal. I mean, not to date myself, but 17 magazine, YM magazine, right? All these magazines when I was younger, you flipping through them and you're like, these girls are so skinny and they don't have any facial hair, and I'm not skinny and I have facial hair. So what is this? Like, where do I fall into life, right? And that the image of myself was not there. So yeah. Um, in that, PCOS does cause depression and anxiety because you're just in a vicious cycle of like, I'm not normal. I'm not normal. So what am I going to do about it? Oh, I can't do anything about it. And then back to I'm not normal. So you're just, again, going back and forth with yourself.
And when you said when you were in the ER, that's when you were like, okay, I have to change this, and you began PCOSAA.
Yeah.
What what was that like? Like having to like put yourself out there and tell people about this?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really one to hold back when it comes to my health in the public because a couple of things. One, um I feel as though if more people would have told me. So, like, I have an aunt who probably, like, she's much older, but she probably has PCOS, but was never diagnosed. If she had spoken to me about what she was going through when she was younger, I probably would have felt better, right? I also have my great grandmother. She passed away while giving birth to my great aunt, and they had told her, do not have a second child, which was my great aunt. Do not have a second child, like something's wrong. And I often wonder, like, did she have PCOS? Is that why she was told not to have another child? But the thing is that nobody was talking to each other, right? Like my family wasn't speaking about it. So I am very open and honest about my health when it comes to the public because if my story can help somebody else, then um, I would prefer that than keeping it in. And then also I'm very honest about my health because I just feel like it's important to me. It's now my identity, and it's who I am, and I'm not gonna falter from who I am. Yes, it's a problem. Who nobody wants to go around saying that I am PCOS, but I feel like it's a part of me. It's incurable, so I'm gonna have it for the rest of my life. So here I am. So I am very open and honest about my women's health issues. When I was in the ER, they kind of dismissed my cyst rupturing. They were like, oh, we see here on your record, your health record, that you have PCOS, and these are cysts rupturing. Oh, this is something that you're just going to have to go through. Like, this is your life. And to me, that was a little off-putting because one, doctor never told me that this is what was going to happen. Two, you're dismissing my health, my thoughts, and my feelings. And three, like, what do you mean there's nothing you can do for me? And this is just what I have to go through. And then also four, like, who else is who else is doing this? Who else in the world is having this happen? So at that point, my mother on our way out of the ER, she said that she saw it in my eyes that I was like, nope, not happening. This can't be happening. Never again. We're not doing this. So what do I need to do to make sure that this does not happen to me and this doesn't happen to anybody else? So it was at that point that I'm very close with my family, and people were calling me and asking me like my family members were calling and asking like, are you okay? We heard you were in the ER. What's happening? And I said to them, well, apparently I have something called PCOS. And they're like, well, what is that? So I started making these little bracelets, these handmade teal bracelets for my friends and my family. And I just, as a conversational piece, like, here, wear this teal. Well, sorry, go take a step back. Teal is the official color of PCOS. So I started making these bracelets and I started handing them out to friends and family, like, hey, if anybody asks you what this teal bracelet is for, tell them about PCOS. It just so happens that I have a cousin that's in Delaware. And she had like bought like 20 of these bracelets from me. And this was around the time that Instagram had just like started. And she had, it was also around the time that let's see, Instagram had just started maybe about a year into Instagram. And then also Wonder Woman, the movie Wonder Woman, had just hit the theaters and everybody was going around talking about I'm Wonder Woman, right? So I had my cousin, she bought like 20 of those bracelets and she had them all on her arms and she was on Instagram and posted a picture of her saying, I'm fighting for PCOS. That picture went like viral. Had tagged me, had hashtagged PCOS, and next thing I knew, I had people from all over the world like DMing me asking, "Hey, I have PCOS. What are these bracelets? Like, I need to know what these bracelets are about." So I ended up like shipping them all over the world, and it was at that point is when I realized like I'm not the only one. Something can be done, like our voices can be heard. So let me go ahead and take these proceeds from these bracelets and start a 501(c)(3. And 2012 hit, and that's when PCOSAA was born.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that part that you took the proceeds from that.
Yes. Mind you, I was shipping them all over the world. I remember one shipment went to like New Zealand or something. The shipping for to ship like these dollar bracelets to New Zealand was like $75. It was ridiculous. I was like, oh, I have to find a better process for this because I'm not going to be shipping these things all over God's green earth for $1 million for a $1 bracelet.
It's amazing though. Like, and look at how it has grown. You've gone from the bracelets to now you have this nonprofit.
T-shirts. We got t-shirts. We have new socks coming. We have all sorts of things happening.
Box might be cool. Give those away at the next con.
Exactly. That's exactly what my friend said. She was like, let's do this. I was like, oh, okay.
And now you have like this thriving nonprofit that's getting, the attention on PCOS which it needs. And then you have these cons. Even like I had the honor to go in 2023 and speak there and meet with so many doctors, nutritionists, and we met influencers there. And just not just learning there, but being a part of a community that was like, I feel less alone in this now.
Correct, correct. And that's like one of the main goals of like the conferences. So like the very first one, we didn't travel. It was in Tyson's Corner, which is in Virginia. And it was at the Hilton Hotel, and it was 3 days. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And let me tell you, we had like over 200 people there, and it was absolutely amazing to have people come from all over the world to be in one place for a weekend to really like dive in. We had a lot of fun. Like the kind of I think I've told you this because how you play into our PCOS cons is like one of the things with PCOS is that women, since they are, most women with PCOS are overweight. Again, facial hair, um, just feeling self-conscious about themselves so much that it affects their sex lives. So we had a late night session where we were all like in our PJs. We had beanbag chairs, we had like stuffed animals, all sorts of stuff, and we literally just talked about sex, PCOS and sex. And that was the session that really like I really enjoyed that session because everybody was comfortable, and it was, again, like you said, it was a camaraderie that it was like, oh, okay, I'm not alone and I'm feeling okay to talk about these issues. It was great. It was that session, and then we also have a session called Man of Teal, which I need to start bringing back, but my dad is the inspiration behind Man of Teal. He thought of it. We used to do a conference. It was like a 1 day conference way back when. And we called it Reveal the Teal. And I would travel all over. And one year, it was like the year that I moved to Virginia. So I'm from Seattle and I moved to Virginia. My family was still in Seattle. We were having the Reveal the Teal in Plano, Texas. My dad hadn't seen me in a year, and so he drove his motorcycle from Seattle to Plano, Texas, just to see me and attend his very first PCOS like event. He had, my dad's been in, he's been in my life my whole life, but he has never like asked me about PCOS. He's always said that, oh, he's like, I just left that up to your mom. That's a woman's thing. I don't know nothing about that. I don't want to know, I don't want to know nothing. So it was very like I felt very honored that he was coming to see me, one, and two, that he was wanting to take the time to really learn what PCOS was. Let me tell you, that man sat in that conference, we left the conference and he was like, why are more men involved in this? We need to know more information. How do I empower men? And I was like, are you for reals right now? I was like, we have been around for 6 years and you you choose now to do this. And he was like, yeah. He was like, what can I do? So he is the labor of love behind the Man of Teal program. And it's really to encourage men to get involved in their loved ones' lives. I often do booths at like health fairs. And let me tell you, the guys literally like they come up for the free stuff that's on the table, but then they're like, nah, that's a woman's thing. I don't know nothing about that. I don't want nothing to do about that. But what they're not really realizing is that their mom, their sister, their daughter, their cousin, their girlfriend, their wife could be affected with PCOS. And we need all the love and support that we can get, not just from the PCOS community of from women who have PCOS, but also from our male counterparts, right? Like, so he started that kind of program and he did the very first like Man of Teal talk at the first PCOS con. And he sat in a room and there was about 12 guys in there. And they all of them came out of that room like they didn't allow the girls in. They all came out of that room like, yeah, yeah, high five. It was very cute. And they have I have to say at least from what I know, because I'm still in contact with at least six of them, plus my dad, they're all still huge advocates for PCOS. So I love it and I want to continue that. And I want my father to be, help lead that mission. So definitely those were the two really big sessions at the first PCOS con that I was like I fell in love with. The other sessions were great. Don't get me wrong. Like we had um early morning yoga with a gal who has PCOS and she's on the larger size and she has a yoga studio called More to Love and she literally teaches you yoga like yoga stances that are easy if you are on the heavier side. So I absolutely loved that session. We had uh, Whitney Waythor from My Big Fat Fabulous Life on TLC. She came and she taught she loves to dance, so she taught a dance session in the morning. Then we had a reveal. We changed. So as I said before, we were doing like a Reveal the Teal conference. We decided to turn Reveal the Teal into a gala. So the Saturday night we had Reveal the Teal gala. So that was the very first year of PCOS Con. And then of course 2020 hit. And as we all know, we all kind of got hit with this thing called COVID, and we had to take PCOS Con virtual. So we now do every other year, we do in person, and then the following year we do virtual. So this year will be our next year that's in person. So this year we're going to New York and LA, and then we'll also have a virtual event. And then next year will be completely virtual. So we teeter, and the lovely Victoria has been a part, as she said, has been a part of the last, let's see, three, two, two,
Well, two. Yeah, this
two.
will be my third. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were a part of the let's see, we did that year we did New York, Texas, and LA, and then virtual as well. And then last year we did virtual. So you've been a part of all of those and it's been great.
It's yeah, your cons have been amazing. Like I walk away with every single talk I walk away either I'm sad, but I'm sad because I'm like it's just so it's vulnerable. There are a lot of vulnerable talks and discussions, but then I also walk away with like, oh, the science, like this is great. We're finally getting a little bit closer to
Right.
understanding because that's what we want. We want to understand like what is happening. Like what does it mean? Or, what tools can I use? And so, yeah, these have been, and just everyone who comes are always so lovely.
Right, right. It's like, yeah, I mean, there's no other word but sisterhood, and the spelling of sisterhood is Cysterhood. As in polycystic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now, like in between the cons, as you're, balancing all these other businesses, which we haven't got into yet, what do you do for yourself to continue advocating with this diagnosis?
Oh boy. Again, as I said, I very much walk in my story. I don't try and like sugarcoat anything. So like even if somebody's following my personal IG page, Instagram page, or my personal Facebook page, they're gonna see the ups, downs of my life, right? They're gonna see the highs, the lows, the depression, the anxiety, the weight gain, the weight loss, the all the things. You're gonna see all my symptoms pretty much on there. And I purposely do that to be an advocate to make sure I'm telling the whole story and not just the sugar-coated side of things. There are a lot of like um, Instagram people out there that sugarcoat their symptoms, unfortunately. And I find that very like I find it as being a disservice to the PCOS community. Like you can't have all all rainbows and sunshines with PCOS. You're just not gonna happen. So yes, I'm an advocate. I'm a walking advocate in that way. But then through the organization, we do have a couple of like projects that we're working on as well. Um, I just had a meeting with Cornell University, the Lujan Labs out of Cornell University, and just what they're working on. And I'm super excited to see and say that so the way that like, their research studies go, you as a researcher probably know that, you have a research study, but then you don't see the results for maybe like 3 to 4 years, right? Like you can't come back with the results for a few years. So I believe it's this year. It's either this year or next year. They have the results from some of their studies that happened, I think, almost 5 years ago. So we're excited about to see what that kind of brings and how that can help the PCOS community. We also have like I don't want to give it all away, but we we used to we used to partner with an organization or a company called Amino Health. And let me tell you, if anybody has been following us since, for the last like 6 to maybe 10 years, you knew that our Amino Health widget on our website was absolutely amazing. Like I still to this day get requests for it. So what it was is Amino is a data mining company, and they were mining the data of which medical professionals out there in the US were using the ICD-10 code for PCOS. So the ICD-10 codes, what those pretty much are, is when a doctor is seeing a patient, they're going to key in an ICD-10 code for any diagnosis, and that's how they bill insurance. So think of it as like an inventory number, right? So that insurance can bill you, or be billed. And then so they're mining that data. And so any medical professional out there, again, as I said in the beginning, like there's a statistic out there that says, take you up to 7 to 8 medical professionals to be actually diagnosed with PCOS. So knowing which ones that are already diagnosing PCOS and coming up with a database of, like, let's say I type in my zip code. I'm just gonna say a zip code, 90210, right? I type in my zip code and it pops up a medical professional in my area that knows PCOS. I'm more apt to go to that medical professional than I am to just Bob down the street and he don't know nothing about no PCOS. So so why would I go to him? So I'm more apt to go to Sally, who, she's a doctor and she knows what PCOS is. Therefore, I can get the help I need. So Amino, in the last couple of years, Amino has grown and they've taken away that model and they're doing some other great things, but we no longer have that service to us. So we are looking to recreate it ourselves and have it housed for free on our website for everybody to be able to use. Type in their zip code, find a medical professional in your area, and go on about your merry life. And so we're trying to recreate that. We have an IT company that's working on it diligently right now. Um, that's a project that we're working on. Some other things, we have a system called, we call it Shades of Teal. It's a networking system for women with PCOS. We're just trying to build on it, right? Like we're trying to, um, it looks very similar to like Facebook, right? We just want to have a place where when we're not at PCOS Con that we can talk amongst ourselves, get to know each other, that type of thing, have friends. We're building that out. We're actually going to be using that platform specifically for the virtual PCOS Con going forward. The virtual PCOS Con is going to be different than it has been in the last couple of years in the sense of more. There'll be more opportunities, more things to listen to, more videos to see. It'll be almost like a training course this year. So we're pretty excited to be building that out. Um, and just keeping on, trying to figure out, everybody's talking about tech and AI, and we're just trying to figure out how we can use these things to better help the PCOS community ultimately.
Mm. That's pretty exciting.
It's a lot.
It is. I was gonna say, and when you're not doing this, have you breathed today? Have you done all the
Damn.
things?
Like as my eye twitches, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, this is so great. And like you're heading in such a wonderful like direction. Where if you could, if you like just like let all the any kind of limiting beliefs go at this time, but where would you want to see this go?
Man, I mean, we've been around since 2012 now. I guess first and foremost, and this is not even, I don't even like, this isn't about the PCOS community ultimately, but I will say that PCOSAA is completely grassroots run. Like me, my board, our volunteers, nobody gets paid. Nobody. We all are volunteers. I volunteer my time. Monica, my co-founder, volunteers her time. Vanessa, my events coordinator, everybody volunteers their time. What I would love, I would ultimately love to see them get paid. Like, not even me, like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I got a day job and I got the other businesses. I want to see them get paid for what they do. So, grants, sponsors, more volunteers. I just want to see it flourish on the back end, so much so that I could be like, hey, I know it's not much, but here's $10,000, Monica, right? Like, here's for this year, here's for last year, here's for the year before. I would absolutely love that. But for the PCOS community, where I want to see it go, I definitely want to see it grow, thrive, do more. Like, we have pillars, right? Like, we have our mission, which we are set here to advocate We're sat here to provide resources. We're sat here to provide information. And then ultimately, we're also sat here to help pay for the funding of the research of PCOS. I want to see all four of those things just become so ultimately crazy that I know this is crazy. I want to see it so ultimately crazy that Susan G. Komen, yes, is a name that's out there, but also so is PCOSAA, right? Like I want to see September, I want to see teal ribbons everywhere. I want to see walks for PCOS. I want to see more advocacy for PCOS. I want to see it be a name brand that people know and trust and know that they can go to for information and resources. One of the biggest things that I pride myself in when it comes to PCOS-AA is that we give all the information, whether it's I can't say wrong because the information that we give is not wrong, but we just give a vast range of things because one woman like Victoria, let's just say you have PCOS. Your PCOS would be different from my PCOS, right? What works for you in your PCOS may not work for me in my PCOS. So I would much rather give you like a whole 20-page document of all these different things that could help your PCOS. You try five, find one that works for you and you run with it, right? I would much rather that than just trying to like pigeonhole you into one treatment, one resource, one thing, and it does not work for you. And then the next thing you know, you're like, I hate PCOS Awareness Association. That's what I don't want. I don't want that. I want to provide all the options, all the information, and just be the number one source, right?
That sounds like such a fulfilling, um, I don't even want to say business, but this sounds so fulfilling. You can see it. Everyone listening is probably like, damn. She really ran with this. 2012, everybody. That's 2012. That's about, let's do some math, 13 years ago. And
Woo.
you're running. Yes. And I do love that. I really do love the idea of like having a walk. Like that would do so well.
Yeah, we tried them in the past, but they're just so I need feet on the floor, on the
Yeah.
ground, right? And it's really difficult for me, Victoria, as you saw the last couple of years, right? I jump. I literally go from, what was it? Last year I went from, or 2 years ago, I did the New York one, then came back home, did the where was it? Houston. Went from Houston, took a flight to Vegas, stayed in Vegas for another PCOS thing, went from Vegas, drove to LA, stayed in LA, came back home to Virginia. And mind you, I do work a day job. So I do work a day job. So my job, I mean, my day job has been so, my boss is so accommodating of things. What was it last year? Funny story. I kept getting this. Well, last year we had an event in September and we called it, it wasn't PCOS Con, it was called Empower and Illuminate. I kept getting this phone call on my phone and it just read, like the caller ID said, White House. I was like, who is spamming me? Delete, 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 right? And it would happen at least twice a day for like a week. And I was like, I don't understand like who's spamming me? Like this is a prank call. Then I get an email, and lo and behold, it was the White House trying to get a hold of me.
Oh,
My mom was like, Biden's trying to call you. I was like, it was the craziest thing because I was just like, okay, they wanted to come. They were sending a representative from the White House to come to the Empower and Illuminate event, and they wanted to let me know, and they wanted to like figure out what she should talk about and all that stuff. So ultimately, she came. It was great, and then a couple of weeks later, I got an email from the White House inviting me to Dr. Biden's Women's Health conference. And it was amazing. I went to the White House, but it was so last minute. Like they emailed us on maybe a Monday and it was a Wednesday, and telling my boss that I needed to go. I'm like, sir, I'm not coming in on Wednesday. And he's like, what's going on? He was like, I don't think you have any more vacation time left. I don't, but I'm still going. I'm going to the White House. He was like, if you get off my phone, go prepare. He's so like accommodating. I really appreciate his help and his support through all like me jumping around the earth trying to go to all my events and take care of things. Yes, I just really appreciate that. And then on top of that, again, I do have other businesses as well. So things can get kind of hectic for me.
I do remember when we were in LA, and I remember walking by Monica going, has Megan eaten yet? And I had to find you some food. I was like, oh God, you gotta eat, girl. But oh my gosh, we didn't even touch on the White House. That's so wonderful. And see, that's also another stepping stone. Like even it's just the right connections.
Yeah, right, right. It was great. That was like I was in heaven. I was in heaven. And I know you've heard this story before, but I oftentimes what ends up happening like after any big event, I literally will say well, not after, as I'm going through the event, I will say I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. And then something will happen during that event and it reconfirms my commitment to the PCOS community. I'm like pulled right back in. So like this, I kid you not, after the Empower and Illuminate event, I was thinking to myself, like, maybe it's time for me to kind of put up the put up the PCOS, boxing gloves, take a step back, work on me, work on the businesses, let maybe Monica or Vanessa like handle PCOSAA for maybe the next couple of years. But then I get that invitation to the White House. I go to that event and I'm just like, this is where I need to be. This is it. This is what I want. I literally left that event, went back to work the next day, had a one-on-one with my boss, and I was like, so I'm not supposed to be here. And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be running my nonprofit full time. This is not, I love this job, but this is not it. And his response to that, love him to death, was, let's see what we can get you. Let's see how we can get you on that path. And I was like, yes.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. I think I'll keep him.
That's great. Um, and I know I've got you on for a lot longer, but I also like love and miss you so much. And I'm
Right.
so excited for what's to come. So just to kind of wrap it up for anyone listening, I have a couple questions for you. My first one is anyone who's listening who may be experiencing those PCOS symptoms, or maybe they have been diagnosed, but they are feeling those
Yeah.
things, and it's like really hard. And I hope this episode, again, everyone, that like Megan's got a wonderful set of tools and a wonderful community. What would be maybe a couple of recommendations they can do to start cultivating that advocacy for themselves, or even helping them switch gears for this new path?
Right. Absolutely. So one of the biggest things that I always say in all events, all meetings, whatever, is that you have to be your own advocate, or you're going to sit in that vicious cycle of looking at doctors that don't know what's wrong with you. Like if you feel like something's wrong, you have to remember that you are paying that doctor. Like same thing as if you're going to a restaurant or whatever, you're paying for a service. If they're not giving you the service that you deserve and that you need, you have all rights to go to another one, find somebody new. Again, I don't have the capability to tell you who's in your area at this moment that could help you, but give me a couple months. We'll see what we can do. We're on that. But our website is chocked full of information and resources. So if you go to www.pcosaa.org, check it out. There's a lot there. And a lot more to come because we will be adding more resources as the year goes on. Also, if you're just like wanting some quick tidbits and like tips and tricks. Most definitely, our Instagram has chocked full of all sorts of information as well. And if you go to that Instagram, it's PCOSAA on Instagram, and on Facebook, we're the whole title. So PCOS Awareness Association on Facebook. We have a couple of videos on YouTube. That's something that I'm trying to build out, but again, trying to do a one-woman show here, and it's kind of hard. So if you know anybody who wants to help run an Instagram, I mean, of YouTube, call to you. Um, and then where else are we? We have some things on Pinterest, not fully there to where we could be there as well. Um, Everybody keeps asking about TikTok, and I'm like, I'm not doing TikTok dances for PCOS. Like, that's just not happening. So, yes, if you go to any one of our social medias or our websites, you can find all sorts of information. And then I always, I'm not. I'm open to talking with anybody. So if you want to reach out to me, Megan, Megan dot Stewart, Stewart at PCOSAA.org. Email me. I'm available.
Oh, thank you, Megan. That was so sweet. And everybody listening, if you're like me, like I did not write that down. We're gonna have everything in the show notes so you can click it below and check out the website. Take a peek at what's coming this year. We do have the con and we get to be in person again. It'll be so exciting. Um, and yes, Megan, thank you so much for
Yeah,
being on the Love and
thank
Latte
you.
podcast. This was an episode of like, this is going to be so unique and so grand. And I know that both of our audiences have women who have PCOS and they're like, we just wait till we get these two in a room.
Well, I mean, this was very similar to our very first meeting, but it was in person and we were in a
But
coffee shop.
we're in a
So,
coffee shop. And everyone who's listening, thank you so much for another episode of Love and Lattes, and we'll see you in the next episode.
see ya.